Welcome to Mindfulness Requires. The focus of this session together today is going to be Metta, which means loving kindness, and cultivating that for ourselves and getting curious and discovering about how that ends up showing up in our communities and in all of our personal relationships, right? Um, So, if you need any help with anything, if you need any other props other than ones I have laid out, please help yourself to what's over there. If you're more comfortable sitting in a chair or laying down on a yoga mat, both of those options are still available to you. If you don't want to sit, something soft for the heels. Yeah, if you have any questions about other setups, I am happy to share them. I want to make sure that it's accessible to to start to learn about meditation and to start to learn about how we can show up to cultivate compassion and love for ourselves when we come to practice. And part of that showing up is to hold ourselves in deep compassion and loving kindness. I'd like to say that uh, whatever is said here stays here, and that we have, yes, so since this is being recorded online, please ignore the last statement. It happens. If you ever don't want to answer a question or don't want to do suggested activity, or you are more than welcome to ask. And if you're facing any difficulties, having any really strong emotions, or just feeling like you need help, don't hesitate to just raise your hand. I'm happy to come to you. See how it can be of support. So I want to take a moment to welcome in all the folks on the LGBTQ plus um, all lesbians, gays, bisexuals, trans people, queer people, asexual people, and all of the other gender expressions and sexual orientations that I have noted there. I intend on becoming more inclusive. We want to acknowledge all of the races that may be in this room or viewing this video, or that may be Black, Hispanic, brown, white, mixed race, and if there are any other, ethnic nations that I haven't named here, we know that there are many, many across. I want to invite all of us. Yes, so I should mention that my name is Inora Tawashi, and my pronouns are she, they, them. I am a non-binary human being who is queer, gender, and sexual. So I invite each one of you to share what your name is. You can leave it in the comments below, and what your gender, or I'm sorry, what your pronouns are, and any other identifying characteristics that you'd like to share with us. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really want to take a moment to celebrate you and just showing up for yourself. It's not easy to walk into a new class that you might not know anything about. Start meditating is can be very intimidating. I think you get the sense of way that you have to lose all the thoughts and just all of these very uh, these ideas that make meditation sound like it's inaccessible. And it's accessible to us in every moment of our day. Love to share with you here, ways that you can take little bits of mindfulness um, into your day. like I said, there are opportunities all over the place. Just so we could come back to the practice that we will be doing today, which is the Metta practice of loving kindness, is something that you might find yourself practicing today. Um, Perhaps, sending joy to the people who pass you on the street, or sending joy to your colleagues intentionally. May they be joyful. Um, that kind of thing. Little small opportunity to be non-judgmental and offer joy, which are really the basis of mindfulness. Part of mindfulness is having non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, and to be able to do that, we need to be able to hold ourselves in compassion and loving kindness. So that's part of why we're here today. So I wanted to share this with you. I don't know if you've heard about the Book of Joy. This was a book that was written um, after interviews and travels with the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, before Desmond Tutu passed. He and the Dalai Lama, who had been really, really good friends, best friends for years, spent a few months traveling together. And, one of the topics that came up as they traveled, there was a spiritual seeker who was an American. I don't remember his name right now. But he narrates much of the book. He did the interviews, so he shares that one day he was just having a conversation with the Dalai Lama, and that he mentioned um, that Americans have this concept of self-hatred. And this was not even a word um, you know, in the dialect, in the understanding of the Dalai Lama, in Pali. Self-hatred, there isn't even a way of explaining it. So it took a few minutes for the translator to finally get it across the Dalai Lama, and his response was, "Oh, but self-hatred with this is a mistake." And that makes sense. That makes sense because if we're going to practice non-judgment, um, just like the Dalai Lama does, just like mindfulness trains us to do, um, we have to shift. Uh, we have to shift into a paradigm that is non-judgmental, and part of being non-judgmental is not allowing any space for self, really learning to transform and hold that self-hatred and compassion, and surround it with loving kindness, and be with it as you can, titrating, taking care of yourself, um, and paying attention to what that's like, um, to offer your difficult self judgments, compassion, and loving kindness. So, especially in the queer community, we are subject to a lot of, judgment. Causes some people to never come out. It causes people to live in secrecy, hiding their authentic selves from their families or from their partners, or just face all of the harassment, discrimination, that can occur when that happens a lot to queer people. Our queerness, our gender identity, our gender expression, all of this is always being put, especially these days, under a microscope, and people are feeling more and more entitled to tell us how each of us should express ourselves. So holding space for that, holding space for ourselves like it hurt. And loving kindness, right? This is this practice of metta, is just to continually offer ourselves loving kindness, hold ourselves. I think that a common story that comes up for a lot of families is that, and I can recall my family as well, when queerness or gayness or any sort of um, yeah, any sort of diverging expression like that was received with one of the ways it was received was to say, "Oh, well, I don't want you to be gay because you're not going to be safe." People want to hurt gay people. People want to hurt people. And I think that this is a messaging that a lot of us get. And I can only imagine the amount of charge that ends up having in our bodies and in our minds. Um, it says that if we're queer, we're not safe. Receive the messaging. If we are queer, we're not safe. So here, I just want to take a moment um, to take uh, just some breaths. If you're feeling tired, you can stand up. If you're uncomfortable sitting the way you are, shift your position, get comfortable. Um, Water, if you want some water. We're just going to take 5 deep breaths here. We'll have a little bit more of a discussion about loving kindness metta. And then we will metta focus. So this is finding your seat where when you're standing, feeling into your feet, strong grounding. You're laying down, feeling your body weighted onto the ground and being fully supported. Let your palms rest on your thighs or down by your side. Whatever is comfortable, while also giving you a posture of mobility, not mobility, but dignity, grace, practicing and receiving ourselves. Paying attention to the inhales and exhales, and just allowing your inhale to lengthen just a little bit. Your exhale, lengthen just a little bit. Bringing your hands onto your belly, noticing as you inhale, expand the belly. Exhaling, feeling the belly contract as you empty your lungs. Softening your shoulders down away from your ears. Feeling a gentle press on your shoulder blades as if a friend is supporting you. Allowing your eyeballs to gently sink and close the backs of your eye sockets. Taking a few more breaths here in silence until you return to the sound of my voice. And then you can take a deep breath, starting to blink your eyes open, and your shoulders a little bit, neck. Right. Metta practice is important because it teaches us so much about the interconnectedness of our own experience. As we learn to love ourselves and give ourselves kindness and grace, our ability to grow and love to include more and more beings around the globe develops. And as you become more able to love more and more of yourself, you're able to love more and more of yourself as well. So the grace and the space that you learn to give yourself, you can then extend to your loved ones, friends, and even to the annoying person at the store. Mindfulness, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. To be able to practice mindfulness, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, we need some guardrails, we need some support, we need some paradigms that are going to help us, and some one of the ways that we can cultivate supporting factors of mindfulness is to practice loving kindness meditation, developing loving kindness for yourself and others through repeating phrases like may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be loved, and may I live with ease. Just no one teaches us how to love ourselves, and most of us are not taught how to love ourselves. And I know that for myself, I was not um, given a lot of tools for emotional intelligence and emotional regulation growing up. So it's really something that I had to teach myself as an adult and reparent myself. Um, I think that that's kind of a buzz topic lately, taking care of our inner child and reparenting yourself. And if those are ideas that spark your interest at all, I really encourage you to give it a good, give it a search and pick a reliable source, or source that you can really trust that they have done their research and are sharing uh, factual information. If you want any suggestions, I'm happy to give them to you. For myself, I really did not have a lot of self-love for myself and a lot of self-compassion and self-esteem when I first came to practice. This cultivating of loving kindness really taught me to love myself, to love my family with more compassion, unconditionalness, and to be able to, develop that for myself as well. I had an old coach who, had a lot of body issues, which I think is very prevalent in the queer community. And so her mission was to intentionally, every time she caught herself in the mirror, was to say, I love you. And every time she was like in a full length mirror or in a written mirror where she started to criticize herself or be like, oh, I hate that part of my body, she would change the script and be like, I love you. I love my big ass. I love my face, my skin on my face. Because there's lots of details that I think, oh, I hate this about my skin. I hate that about my skin, all these imperfections. Now we receive so much conditioning from society, from social structures, from each other, because we're all programmed. Unless we are doing this work, unless we are more non-judgmental state, um, that we are allowing ourselves to come from a judge, fear, lack place rather than one of interconnectedness, loving kindness, and abundance. The abundance is not the best one. We'll have a different one next time. Abundance, great. So like I mentioned before about how I developed a lot of self-confidence and self-love as a result of mindfulness practices and more specifically the Metta practice. Um, you know, I had 10,000 thoughts spinning, but I would especially just get stuck on one like set of thoughts like, oh, you suck. You're never gonna get to do this. You're never gonna learn how to do that. You're never gonna be good. So I would tell myself these things over and over and over again. I'm so glad I can't remember what I used to say to myself because it was terrible. Um, I would be obsessed. That's all I would be thinking about, right? Like it's how terrible I'm doing or what other people think. I definitely had like obsessive thoughts where I was worried about what others were thinking of me. So I do want to say, as we practice mindfulness, one of the things that are misnomer or misinformation's out there about meditation is that you have to have no thoughts. That you have to get to a place where you have no thoughts. And that's basically impossible. You know, our brains, our minds are creating 10,000 thoughts a minute. And it's not just you. 90, something like 85 or 90% of the thoughts that we have in a day are the same thing over and over again. So just repeating the same thoughts, which shows us how important it is to be repeating thoughts that are focused more on loving kindness rather than fear and separation to cultivate healthy states of mind. So we can approach ourselves with more love and our community with more love. When I was growing up in my household, there was a lot of disciplinarian attitudes and shame and, this kind of like making people feel bad for their behavior were instruments that were used a lot to create discipline, to help me learn how to behave differently. And it just made it so that a lot of those scripts I carried into my adult life and I definitely shamed myself for a long time. I had a therapist who one day said to me, what if you just didn't shame yourself? What if you just decided I am not going to shame myself? You can acknowledge your behavior and decide that you want to do differently without having to shame yourself. It's an option. Um, when we are used to or we have cultivated a mind state which is very narrow, constricted, gripping on um, fear than shame, then those are the thoughts that repeat. We start to shift towards compassion, loving kindness, non-judgmental, really trusting yourselves. Our capitalist society definitely sends us messages of not enoughness. That's how they keep things moving, and a lot of the keep us consuming. Um, because our brains, our natural tendency is to grasp for more or push away what we don't want, or aspiration to become something else. Um, that's just the natural inclination of the brain. So if we know that to begin with, there's no reason to shame or judge ourselves, right? We can start to accept that the natural inclination of the brain is to grasp at what they want, run from what it doesn't want, and to create a story about what it will become. Knowing these things allows us to look at our minds and experience with more passion and loving kindness. And we can practice this through the mental practice. A lot of people have a really hard time cultivating loving kindness for themselves. This is very widespread. Many people think that they're just not worthy of it, that they would be selfish if they were cultivating loving kindness for themselves, that it would be weird, egotistical, that somehow they don't deserve it, or just have never experienced like true unconditional love from someone or experience it in very limited fashion. It's hard for people to bring it back to themselves. A lot of people experience this, and we will work with that a little bit today and give you tools so that you can learn to shift um, from the experience of the love that somebody else has given you into your heart so that you feel more of that direct experience of the love. One day you'll surprise yourself, I'll find myself tripping and, dropping a book. And in the past, I would have said, why are you such an idiot? You're such a klutz, blah, 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 blah. And end with this sour, angry, disappointed look on my face, which didn't really, work for the rest of my day or whatever period of time. Um, because I would hang on to that emotion for the rest of the day, right? And through this practice, suddenly I was doing, funny things like that and just offering myself loving kindness and compassion, or it wasn't even like just automatically like, just offering it to myself. It's that suddenly I'm like, oh, you're silly. Oh, or like, oh, love, like, yep, you're clumsy, like just accepting the clumsiness instead of getting angry at my clumsiness all the time. I think that that's like part of the beautiful practice of this is that we learn to love the parts of us that we are not loving. That's exactly what Sharon Salzberg, I was going to share this quote a little bit later, but I think it's actually worth repeating. So Sharon Salzberg shares that metta is the ability to embrace all parts of ourselves, as well as all parts of the world. Practicing metta illuminates our inner integrity because it relieves us of the need to deny different aspects of ourselves. When we love, our mind is expansive. When we love, our mind is expansive. Okay, we are going to move into doing a metta practice. So before we actually practice, I invite you to just, if you want to get up and move a little bit, um, I welcome you to do so. What's your name? Taking a sip of water. So, as I've mentioned, that, the self-love and compassion is pretty hard sometimes for people to just cultivate themselves right off the bat. So, what we will do today is start with somebody whom you feel really unconditional support and love from. Somebody who really makes you feel seen. It might be a being, it might be your dog, it might be whatever God you believe in, it might be just the sense of universal interconnectedness. Um, Whatever really lights up your heart center and makes you feel. So just like before, I will invite you to take a comfortable seat, so either taking a comfortable seat or standing, laying down, whatever is best for you. And from here, noticing where your body is making contact with the ground, supporting surface you're on. Allowing the muscles in your body to soften and come away from the bone. Allowing the belly to be soft, Buddha belly. Feeling the inhales and exhales. Fill the belly. Noticing if you're holding any tension in your shoulders. That drop. Noticing any tension holding in your neck and skull. And from here, I would love for you to bring to mind this being that you have chosen that gives you a deep sense of unconditional love. This being really, really makes you feel seen. You might want to put your hands over your heart center and press against your chest as you move the area. And as you breathe, inhaling and imagining the breath just filling that heart space, exhaling and emptying, really allowing yourself to feel the deep support and love of this person. Perhaps imagining that the surface upon which you rest are the hands of this person holding you. So you can surrender into the palms of their hands, safe. And as you hold this person in your heart space, I invite you to share the following phrases with them. I will be repeating them twice, and I invite you to listen out me in your head. May they be filled with loving kindness. May they be held in loving kindness. May they be filled with loving kindness. May they be held in loving kindness. May they feel safe and at ease. May they feel safe and at ease. May they feel protected from inner and outer harm. And may they be happy. May they feel protected from inner and outer harm. May they be happy. I invite you here to check in with your thoughts. May use your breath expanding in your belly to help bring you back, ground you. Long, deep breaths. May they accept themselves just as they are. May they accept themselves just as they are. May they touch deep, natural peace. May they touch deep, natural peace. May they know the natural joy of being alive. May they find refuge within my own being. May they know the natural joy of being alive. May they find true refuge within their being. May their heart and mind awaken, and may they be free. May their heart and mind awaken, and may they be free. As you sit here in this love and softening you have cultivated, sending all of this loving kindness to the person who sees you and loves you unconditionally, has never judged your queerness, never shamed you, never deserted you. Again, you can place your hands on your heart center and feel the warmth as you've cultivated loving kindness for this other being. And now we will shift our attention to offering ourselves loving kindness, carrying that ball, that warmth that we generated and cultivated, thinking about our loved one, loved supporter, and offering it to ourselves. And we'll repeat each phrase twice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be held in loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be held in loving kindness. May I feel safe and at ease. May I feel safe and at ease. May I feel protected from inner and outer harm. May I feel protected from inner and outer harm. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I accept myself just as I am. May I accept myself just as I am. You become distracted. You can bring your attention back to the sound of my voice, the sensation of the air coming in and out of your body. Noticing what your thoughts might be containing and drawing your attention back, cultivating loving kindness, warmth, compassion, and love that's in this chest. May I touch deep, natural peace. May I touch deep, natural peace. May I know the natural joy of being alive. May I know the natural joy of being alive. May I find true refuge within my own being. May I find true refuge within my own being. May my heart and mind awaken. May I be free. May my heart and mind awaken. May I be free. Notice what it feels like to offer yourself compassion, loving kindness. You can bring back to mind your treasured someone, person who really sees you with non-judgment, unconditional love and support. Maybe the universal energy, God, your dog, best friend. And as you hold them in your heart, bringing yourself back to your heart. We're so quick to put ourselves out of our hearts sometimes. And now we will practice. As I said, it's a practice. This might not be comfortable. Really feeling that same energy that we cultivated for our loved one, ourselves, and seeing if we can expand it. Expand the love, the compassion, the kindness, and healing to really encapsulate our sharing that loving kindness with all beings. And we will repeat the phrases for all beings everywhere. May all beings everywhere be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be held in loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be held in loving kindness. May I feel safe and at ease. May all beings feel safe and at ease. May all beings feel protected from inner and outer harm. May all beings feel protected from inner and outer harm. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings accept themselves just as they are. May all beings accept themselves just as they are. Noticing if your attention has wandered, bringing it back to the sound of my voice. May all beings touch deep, natural peace. May all beings touch deep, natural peace. May all beings know the natural joy of being alive. May all beings know the natural joy of being alive. May all beings find refuge within my own being. May all beings find refuge within their own beings. May all beings' hearts and minds awaken, and may all beings be free. May all beings' hearts and minds awaken, and may all beings be free. I invite you to bring your attention onto your breath, releasing any other points of attention you can hold. Taking a moment to observe the space in your body, the quality of your mind right now, the quality of your breath, and the depth of your presence. As you're ready, you can blink your eyes open, take some movements that might feel good to you. When I was on retreat early July, participants, had expressed feeling guilty, feeling doubt that being in a retreat is really the best place for them to be. They wondered if they shouldn't be more activists and more protesting or taking political actions, kind of thing. And the response of Adrenamaro was to say that you are exactly where you need to be. It's best for you to be, place for you. Because what we do here is learn to cultivate non-judgmental awareness experience. And through that cultivate loving kindness, wisdom, passion, presence. The better we can show up in the world. When we show up in the world, we're holding space for others. knowingly or unknowingly, for healing. This work allows us to learn to love ourselves and accept every piece of us, simples and joys and the 10,000 sorrows. Um, Holding that within you, that 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows exist all the time at the same time. Oof, really allows for a lot of expansion around this idea of sorry and truth. So back to the Sharon Salzberg quote, um, Metta is the ability to embrace all parts of ourselves, as well as all parts of the world. Practicing metta illuminates our inner integrity because it relieves us of the need to deny different aspects of self. When we feel love, our mind is expansive. When we feel love, our mind is expansive. Um, well, in closing, I really want to thank all of you for showing up here, for trusting me to hold space for you as a being in this environment. It's really difficult at times. Please don't hesitate to either message me or talk to me after class if you have any needs that are not being addressed, or if I address something unskillfully. Um, we're all a work in progress. I know I am a work in progress. I am always learning the best to show up. So, um, yeah. Um, we talked about the importance of supporting non-judgment with a loving kindness and compassion. Developing this loving and kindness and compassion for ourselves allows us to share that with our community. Love, connects us, that interconnectedness. The more you can love yourself, the more you can love those around you. And to practice. Mindfulness and meditation is called a practice reason. And I would almost call it an opportunity. It might be judgment then. Um, because you can practice these mental practices wherever you are. Like I mentioned at the very beginning of this session, that you can offer loving kindness to everybody that you pass, non-judgmentally. So you say, today, everybody I walk past, I'm going to say, may you be happy, may you be happy, may you be happy, may you be happy, may you be happy. And guess what? If you've repeated may you be happy 100 times in a day, what do you think your mind stays? Pretty freaking happy. I can tell you that from experience. I shared how these practices have supported me in more deeply loving myself and showing up for community. We talked about how our minds naturally produce lots and lots of thoughts every day, and that we can learn to uh, shift those thoughts in a more productive direction, supporting our well-being, noticing where we can offer ourselves more compassion and loving kindness, and moving from that space rather than moving from the fearful, distrusting, and back mindset. And remember that you're going to surprise yourself, like these, I keep saying practices because it's a practice. It can seem tedious or mechanical. You go and sit down, You say, may I be happy, may they be happy, ba, 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 right? And then suddenly you hold the door open for somebody and you say, may I be happy in your head without even thinking about it. And you be happy. What a delightful surprise. It's like finding a candy in your pocket that your inclination suddenly has become to wishing for happiness. All right, we're gonna leave it off there. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for your practice. Um, Super psyched to get to hold space for people and show up in the world this way. Don't hesitate to reach out with questions or comments. Much love.